These recordings, huh, these recordings will actually upload the YouTube link here. Okay, so don't worry about that. Uh, okay, so since this is first class, so let me give you a brief introduction about this course, like what is this course, uh, who am I, and then we'll have some interaction with you guys also. And I would love to know that what are your field of work? Is anyone from the industry? Is anyone from the teaching side? Or anyone who is a student? So, because last time I was the course PA, I think there were a lot of people from science background, arts background, and I love that. So, apart from engineering, architect and engineering people are also from different backgrounds are actually coming to learn courses. So that's fantastic. Okay, and the interaction will be in English. So maybe some of you may find it difficult. So don't worry if you find it difficult to understand anything. Just raise a hand or you can write it here. So my screen is visible. You can write it in the in-call messages. I will read these in-call messages and I will answer them. Okay. So that's not a big issue. The main problem is people from all over India join for this interaction session. So the interaction medium will always be English only, because people may not understand Hindi, or maybe I speak some other language, may not, they may not be able to do that. Okay, so English is okay. Uh, okay, so fine, everything is fine, and then we proceed for the slide. Okay. So, good afternoon to you all, and welcome to this NPTEL live tracker session, that is environmental impact assessment. So, this is live session one. Is joining. Okay, so this is live interaction session one, and also today's session is on this Republic Day. So, happy Republic Day to you all, and the course instructor is Professor Harshit Sosan Lapra. He is Assistant Professor in the Department of Architecture and Planning, IIT Roorkee. And I am Rohit. I am a PMR scholar, that is Prime Minister Research Fellow Scholar at IIT Bombay. So I have been, uh, so basically I am a doctoral student, a PhD student at the Environmental Science and Engineering Department at IIT Bombay. So I work on a lot of fields, like basically a broad field is I work on solar energy, and then I work on this waste to energy. So I'm working kind of two different broad fields in my PhD. Okay. You can find me on the LinkedIn also. So this is my LinkedIn to join. Okay. And okay. So basically the methodology will last. This is every Sunday 3 to 5 p.m. Okay. So the methodology will be like we'll have a discussion on the topic that were taught in weekly lectures. So that will actually help you revise these topics also. And since this was the first weekly lecture, so basically I was going through the slides, and those were basically a kind of introduction to different problems that we face as a environment, and basically what are the different types of. So we'll get to know about that also in the upcoming slides and upcoming. I will discuss those. Also, this is kind of a doubt clearing session. So if you have any questions, uh, don't forget to ask your questions. If you have any question that is not related to this course, also I am totally okay with that question. So you can ask anything. Okay? There. Uh, Noman has said your voice is not audible clearly. I think some background noise is there. Is it for everyone? Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, thank you. Noman, maybe there uh, there is some issue with your what you say speaker or your earbud something. So please check. Okay, don't worry if the problem persists. Then I will try to check it from myself also. That why this problem is there. Okay. Okay, so third is interaction with the student. So this is the main component. So this is kind of NPTEL live interaction session. So if there has been weekly lectures also, weekly videos are there where professor has very interestingly taught each and every topic. So I don't want to go into detail whatever he has taught you on the weekly lectures. So you can go and actually see or you go through the slides, you will get to understand what is there. Main is interaction. Like what do you think about this topic or any topic which you want to discuss here. So this is the kind of session where you can interact. Okay, and basically you can ask your questions through chat box or there is a discussion forum also on the NPTEL. So if you think that some questions are very simple, so you can ask it here. Or if you think some questions are quite complex and you want some other views also, like you want everyone to get benefited. So you can put those questions on the discussion forum where I'm also a TA, some other TAs are also there for course TA. They will try to answer your questions from their perspective. Some students are also welcome to answer, give their perspective. Because this is environmental impact assessment. This is not a kind of numerical type of course where a perfect or exact answer will be there. So this is a kind of view or something like how impacts are assessed. So there can be some like for some plastic is a kind of pollution. Plastic is a kind of pollution, but for some plastic is kind of generation of employment also, like for industry and some other things. So yeah, there can be views also. So if you want to regulate plastic, so you have to regulate the employment also. Generation of plastic gives a lot of employment to MSME sector. So there can be views, and this course is about that only. How you get into how you take the views of stakeholders. Okay, so simple here. Here also will follow the same discussion forum. Any question you are welcome to ask. So you can raise your hand. You can ask it in the call messages. In between the session, I will try to go to the call messages and answer those questions one by one. Okay, and questions will be either addressed in the forum or if there are some questions which I think that it needs a lot more knowledge to address, so that will be addressed in the next like we live session also. Don't worry, we will get give your answers in this session only. So okay, okay. So before I start this course, so basically I will give you a brief about a brief recap. So lecture one, there were five lectures in this week one. So lecture one was drivers of environmental change, state of global environment for air. Okay. Simply lecture two was for state of global environment, biodiversity. Many of you may not be very much familiar with the word biodiversity. Someone with, I think, geographical background or biological background may have heard this term biodiversity. Okay. State of global course, then state of global environment, land and soil, and then fresh water. Okay. So we'll discuss one by one all these lectures and we'll have a quick go through the assignment question. Then I have made some slides also where I will talk about these different type of things. What is EIA, and so I will not go into detail because all the like the whole course is about EIA. So everything like screening, scoping, how screening is done, how the mitigation are done, how decision making, how the monitoring are done. So there are different tools also. So to conduct an EIA. So basically, and why EIA? Major is why EIA. This is the main question. If you want to conduct an EIA, there can be several tools also. Why do you want to understand the impact? Okay, and what was earlier before the EIA? How EIA came into the picture? Okay, so we'll have a good understanding maybe in this interaction session or in the upcoming lectures also. Professor Lakla has actually very interestingly explained these topics. Okay, so before we move further, I would like to interact with you guys Like, how many of you are from science background? Anamika has raised. Anamika, okay, okay. Adil, Tarun, and okay, a lot of people are from science background. Okay, okay. Then, and how many of you are from engineering or applied sciences background? Gayatri, Anita, Anamika, you, Fernando. Okay, okay. A lot of people are there. There. Okay, okay. I think engineers are also quite interested in learning of research. So that's okay. That's fantastic. How many of you are from architecture? Like something or some have done some related to architecture? Anita. Okay. Quite nice. Fernando has done some courses. Okay. So that's good. Fantastic. And arts background. Some other student like okay. Akib is there. Divya Kishore. Shanti Datta. Oh, that's great. A lot of people are from Spain. So yeah, so I just want to know that like let's start from someone from arts background. So what are your expectations from this course? Like what are you expecting that what are you going to learn from this course? Hmm. Okay, so that's nice. So which type of project do you handle, Saki? Oh, that's good. Uh, yeah, yeah, Suresh. Uh-huh. PSR reporting. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's nice actually. So yeah, BSR reporting because I am also in environmental field. So I think now in the upcoming decades, the government will more and more enforce these BSR rules and everything on the companies. Now the projects, I think projects above 1,000 crores are not actually passed without EIA. So there are some categories. So we will talk about those categories also. Categories A, B, and C, and which of those categories will have to conduct EIA before passing those projects. Passing like giving approval to those projects. Okay. Anyone from someone else who wants to speak? Adil. Adil. Huh. Yeah. Sure, Adil. Hello. Okay. Yeah, I'm totally audible. Oh, that's great. Okay. Uh-huh. Wow. That's great. In the EIA. Oh, that's great, Adil. I think you have come to the good course because this course is actually very broad. You will get to know about a lot of things like how EIA is done, what are the different aspects of EIA. Even social impact assessment will also be discussed in this course. So I have seen the lectures also on that aspect. So yeah. We'll get to know a lot about those things. Um, thank you, Adil. To Shamputi Dattasi, or he, no, no. Sir, how can this course add to the professional CV of environmental security, non-traditional security student in social science? To Shamti, can you clear what do you want to ask? Like, I'm not very familiar with this word, non-traditional security student. Uh, if you want to ask, like, how you can add this course to the professional CV, so that's up to you. After you pass the exam, you will get a certification of this course, like you have done completed this course from NPTEL, and NPTEL is quite reputed because all the professors are from centrally funded institute, and they are great professors of IITs, IISCR. Some centrally funded institutes are also there. Uh, so you can simply write it in the resume also. So that's up to you how you present. So writing anything in the resume is one thing. Another thing is how well do you know this thing. If you go for an interview and then they ask whether you can do an EIA. So yeah, that is your answer. You should tell with confidence that yeah, I can do this EIA. You give me the project, I will do the EIA. Okay. And in EIA also, like there are several projects. Like some are from oil companies, some are from wastewater plants, sewerage plants, so industries. So generally, people what they do, they actually take a kind of specific field and they specialize in that. Like I am very much expertise. I have the expertise in conducting EIA for the petrochemical plant. So, like these, there are people and the consultants. So I have known some of the consultants and they have the people for EIA, specifically for EIA. So like which are the job sector areas where we can apply job sector areas. Okay, so actually, I will give you a brief overview also, like where this EIA is actually why EIA. Okay, so basically, what had earlier happened that whenever there was some project. When I am talking about project, so industrial project. Okay, so there are some impacts to the environment. And what are those impacts? Or briefly, you can say pollution is kind of one impact, but pollution is kind of one impact. There are many other impacts apart from pollution. Okay, so these impacts has to be documented before giving permission to the project. Okay, like let's say we are going to build a nuclear reactor, and then there are some impacts. So if the impacts are very much large or they are not feasible to be managed properly. So EIA, what EIA does, it says that don't do this project. Okay. So EIA actually helps the decision maker. Earlier decision makers had no choice. They apply their brain and then they say, okay, technically feasible project. We can make money. Let's approve this project. But now with the increasing awareness about the environment, people are now more focused on this environmental aspect of those projects also. So now the decision maker has this technical parameters like these are the costs, these are things, and then environmental impact assessment report also. So they have a clear picture whether they have to approve this project or not. Okay, so that's what EIA does, and then job sector area. So basically, EIA is done by the consultant generally. The government departments are not very what you say expert doesn't have expertise in conducting EIA. Like some of them maybe National Productivity Council or Quality Council. I don't know. Quality Council may have some of the members which are expertise in. Generally, they are not expertise. Consultants like Ernst and Young, uh, JP Morgan, and similar others, Pera, GIST, all these consultants, they provide job in these sectors. Okay. Tarun has actually raised a hand. Tarun, go on. QCI EIE consultant. Uh, so you are in QCI. QCA, हाँ हाँ, क्वालिटी, okay, okay, I got your point. So actually, Quality Council of India gives accreditation to these consultants, like they can perform EIA. So there are some standards also which governs the EIA rules. So yeah, Quality Council of India is for that only. Swarnendu has raised his hand. Hmm. Okay. It's okay. It's okay. Actually, in construction sector, like when you give a permission to some project like greenfield or brownfield project, so then before the initiation of those projects, you have the EIA. But that depends on what is the quantum of that project. How much is the project value? All these things are there has to be covered. So there are different categories which defines those rules. So maybe your construction project may not be qualified in that category. So EIA was exempted for them. But after that, maybe the scope was then increased, and then they have to perform a EIA report, as as I can understand. Another thing, your next question was how to do EIA. So EIA is basically what you say a kind of seven-step procedure. You yourself cannot do a EIA. So there are a lot of steps that has to be followed in a EIA. EIA report is kind of a single document that actually contains all the findings of those steps. So let's say I will give you a these are the different steps. So first is screening and scoping. Then we have assessment of environmental risk. Then mitigation, how if there is a risk, what are the mitigation measures that you gonna take? Like if there is a air pollution, so what are the mitigation measures? Like you need to install smoke filters, you need to provide in-house filters, all those things. Decision making. Then after mitigation, then comes to decision making, like whether we should approve this project, these impacts are manageable or not. And then after decision making, the phase starts, construction phase started. Then you go for monitoring. Okay. So monitoring is also there. Yeah, these impacts were calculated. Now these impacts which we are observing, and then whether so these all steps have to be followed in the EIA. So it's not like you prepare a report and then you give them. So most of the time, what is happening in India is copy paste. So consultant what they does, they copy paste the report of some other consultant and they apply it to the same project. So all the things are uh, so this is this uh, okay, okay. Generally in generally in construction, what I see, they are more focused on health, safety, and environment. So OSA's regulations are there. So on that. So I'm very much amazed that they are asking EIA at this stage. But yeah, they can ask. Depends. That's how work goes on in India. Okay. Here he has raised a hand. Good afternoon. Uh-huh. Wow. So, mhm. uh, yeah, kind of helpful because this is what we teach in IIT. So this is kind of course like IIT has curriculum. So all those slides which the lectures which you are seeing in this course, they are actually taught in the IIT itself. Okay. So I don't know how you present it as course on EIA. That depends on how you do the or okay. Okay, so yeah, I got to know a lot of things from you guys. So someone is working industry, someone is working in construction sector, and someone is working in the consultant also. That's great. That this is what is about this interaction session. So yeah, anyone else from engineering or applied sciences field want to say something? Like let's say like EIA is one of the tools. It's kind of a tool, you can say, that actually assesses a project and then say that whether this project has to be approved or not. Any other tools from your knowledge that you apply in the field or you have learned it in the courses? Okay, so any other tool which you guys know? Fernando, yeah, sure. Uh-huh. Health safety. Okay, okay, that's great, Fernando. Actually, let me clarify on that. ISO is standard. Okay, so let's say you want to do EIA, so there will be some steps, and then those steps have some benchmark. Like these things have to be done. If you are going to take a measurement, like if you are going to measure air pollution, so these are the instrumental specification. This is the way you measure. So this is what ISO in a broader terms does. Okay, so ISO kind of makes standards for EIA and all those things. They have standards for almost everything. Okay, and similarly for Indian conditions, we have BIS also, Bureau of Indian Standards. That they have a very good standard for almost everything. Adil has this. Okay, okay. Mhm. So is it kind of interactive tools like you get to participate with some rural people. Is it kind of this type of thing? Okay, okay, okay. So yeah, this is kind of tool. This is one of the tool. So similarly, like EI is also a tool that actually helps in identifying the impact, kind of making decision, helping decision making. Adil, do you want to say anything? LC, yeah, yeah, I've heard it about it. Okay, LCR, land contamination. Okay, so yeah, this is the kind of tool that I was talking about. Like EIA is also a tool, and similarly, what Adil said, LCRM is also a tool. And Suresh has written here ISO standard, and similarly, Swanendu was also talking about this ISO standard. So yeah, here you can see a word impact and risk assessment. This is also a kind of tool. Risk assessment is there. So there are a lot of studies on risk assessment. So I will give you an example. Like generally we evaluate the contamination factor, like heavy metals leaching is there, toxicity, uh, like TCLP test is run. So we assess the risk through heavy metals. So this is one of the kind. Generally, we do it for landfill waste. Okay, much more solid waste that we generate that goes to the landfill. So we run the TCLP test. Okay, and similarly we do the risk assessment, and then there is a one of the tool which I remember that I use mostly in my manuscript, potential ecological risk assessment, risk index. So PERI, this is one of the tool that is used to evaluate the risk associated with any matter. Okay, and one more tool is there. I think many of people who are working in as a consultant may have some knowledge about that. So before that, I take a question from Shubhankar. Hello, sir. I am pursuing my MTech in data science right now. Can you please explain how this course can be helpful for me? Okay, Shubhankar. So data science is actually, I will say, data science is something which is needed by everyone. Whether you work in EIA field, whether you work as environmental science, whether you work for energy, and whether you are working as a data analyst or computer science engineer. So data science, data is there. This is AI driven age. Okay. So a lot of data is getting generated. So don't restrict yourself to the EIA. So you actually have a broad field of work. You can work in any field. So if this field is very what you say, EIA or environmental field is what you are looking into, then you can look more into the environmental concept. Like if I give an example, so generally in IIT Bombay, what we do, we measure the particulate, PM 2.5, PM 10. So we make our sensors, replace those sensors, and those sensors generate data for every second. Like okay, and that for even a month we have a lot of data. Okay, so we process those data and see whether these particles have the climate has any effect on those particles. Is the particles what you are saying is kind of uh, generated from construction site, or many other factors are actually contributing to that. So similarly, we use a lot of data science in analyzing those things. So it depends where you want to apply your knowledge. Okay, so don't worry, just do whatever you are doing. Just love it. Try to learn the thing. So if you want to work in, like if you want to work in some specific field, so you will be able to do that. Okay, don't worry. And many people have actually joined late. So yeah, I will give a brief introduction here. So people who joined late, so we were talking about this EIA thing, environmental impact assessment. And before that, we have an introduction about myself. So I am Rohit. I am a PhD scholar in IT Bombay. So I will be taking this live interaction session. And don't think it as a kind of teaching session. So this is not a teaching session. Teaching slides are there on the NPTEL. This is kind of an interaction session where you and I will be interacting, and we'll have a recap of the things also. I will revise, and then we'll have assignment. We'll take up the assignment questions and then solve it also. Okay. So this is the thing. And if anything which you want to say about like what where you work, or anything interesting that you find in the EIA domain or any other domain, so please feel free to speak. Okay. Anita has written, "Hi sir, I am a third year undergrad student studying architecture and very interested in environmental conscious construction. That's great. I am unaware of most of the industry related terms and concepts." That's okay, Anita. You are in third year undergrad, so that's okay. Basically, generally, there are various terms which you will be, if you are studying architecture, you will get it. So, what the class knowledge, whatever you are learning in class, so they are teaching you how to grasp things. Don't take it as a you are getting everything. So try to learn. Okay, try to get the things. Try to get the basic terms. How these things actually work. Like what is the first thing which you are saying here is sustainable and environmental conscious construction. And then we are everyone is like, yeah, we want sustainable and environment conscious construction. But for what is sustainable? Okay, so what is sustainable? What can be called sustainable? Is this building in which I am? This is kind of a hostel of IIT Bombay. So is this sustainable, or the buildings outside are sustainable, or the hut or some other things which you see in the villages are sustainable? So there are different parameters on which you evaluate this. So try to see into that. Like if you are working sustainable, then what are the environmental conscious construction? What are the different types of construction? How the environmental uh, aspects are taken into the construction? Go into that, okay? And don't worry, you are in third year. Whenever you will you grow your knowledge level, your sphere of knowledge also grows. Okay, through experience, through knowledge, through peer learning. So what we do here as we contact with our senior students, then we get to learn many things from peer learning. So that is what you can do. Contact your seniors, contact your alumni who are working in this field, and get to know about the different what are the different things which are going into the industry. Try to learn those things. Okay, I am unaware of most of the industrial related terms and concepts. That's okay. So I found zeros assessment quite difficult. Okay, to do better in further parts of the course, what study materials should I refer apart from lectures to learn the basics? Okay, so I will suggest uh, don't don't learn from lot of study material. Get a good resource. I think NPTEL is a good resource. NPTEL, I have seen many of the lectures are very good because these lectures are actually recorded in the classrooms itself. Okay, so professors are teaching the student and these lectures are actually recorded. So whatever they are teaching here are actually class recorded lectures. Okay, and sometimes they are recorded in a special studio session. So you can take help of that. And apart from that, there are follow a specific what you say a specific author book, like good author book. You will get to know a lot of stuff. What lectures to learn. My second question: how do I apply concept taught in this course in my design in near future as an architect? So this second question I won't answer now because you are still a third year undergraduate student, and because in design phase you learn a lot through peer learning. Whenever you will start working in industry, you will get to learn a lot of things which are not taught in the classroom. So classroom cannot teach everything. Okay, classroom teaches the important things, something which are very much connected with the industry, something which are connected with the higher knowledge. If you want to go in the higher education field, that is also taught in the classroom. So don't if you doesn't find any connect with everything, that's okay. That's everything. You just have to basically grab how to learn things. This is what is taught in the classroom. Okay, so don't worry. You will get. I am sure you will be a good architect in future. And then any other questions from anyone? So those students who have joined now, any questions? You can unmute your mic and ask also if anyone has any questions. Okay, so if there is no question, so one of the tool which I wanted to discuss with you is life cycle assessment. So have any one of you have heard this term, life cycle assessment? Hmm. Yeah, that is exactly life cycle assessment. So basically we are not very much when you do a life cycle assessment. This is also a kind of tool like EIA. Even some of the findings of life cycle assessment can be integrated in the EIA also to get a, a supported decision making. Okay, so this is one of the field which is quite what you say gained pace because lot of construction or lot of things, lot of industry are moving towards sustainability. Then the problem is what is sustainable? This is the question. Now there, I will ask one question here. So I will give you kind of knowledge. So Indian government is focusing more on electric vehicles. Okay, so everything is like going gaga on, like, say, let's say electric vehicles. Electric vehicles are really good. They are zero emission vehicles, almost zero. Okay, should we shift on electric vehicles? Are electric vehicles good compared to conventional vehicles like diesel or gas vehicles? Okay, so I think Suresh, whatever you have explained, this is the thing. This is the answer. So many of you, I will give you a simple, very simple answer. But whatever Suresh has explained, he has gone into more technicalities, and Adil has also confirmed like lithium mining would affect the environment. Yes, sure, lithium mining will affect. Yeah, this was the answer which I was looking for. So let's compare. Let's say we leave the manufacturing part and mining a part. Okay, there may be many things in the conventional vehicle also which requires mining and manufacturing. So let's compare one to one. Traditional vehicle, diesel and gasoline. Electric vehicles, we have electricity. Now electricity is coming from coal power plant. This is not their understanding. Coal power plant, 75% of the electricity is coming from coal power plant. Okay, and coal power plant, they are polluted. You see the BS6 vehicle, BS6 scenarios. The diesel and petrol vehicles are almost very clean now. They are not contributing anything to the particulate matters. They are contributing very less to the CO, NOx, everything. So we have lot of things there itself, like selective catalytic reduction, everything is there. Then we have turbocharging, and the pollution levels are quite low from the diesel and electric vehicles. But in electric, sorry, diesel and petrol vehicles. But in electric vehicles, we are getting our electricity from the grid, which is mostly coal power plant, and coal power plants are very polluting. Okay, if I give you a data, zero point 0.8 kg of CO2 is actually released for 1 kilowatt of electricity that is burned. And if you go for similarly, you can check the data for 1 kg burning of petrol and diesel, how much CO2 is actually released. Okay, and yeah, Subhankar has said more input need for electric vehicle compared to their output. Uh, this is not, I think, the phenomena, because if you see IC engines are like 30 to 35% efficient, and electric vehicles have motors, so motors are generally much more efficient than IC engines. That I will not support this point, but maybe on some part, if you see a wholesome with gear and all those things, may or may not be. I can't say on that, Subhankar. Yeah, Adil, you have anything? Yeah, that this is what this is the importance of life cycle assessment, because it sees the life of this product. It doesn't fix its assessment to the narrow only on the road. It takes into account like whatever I think Suresh has said, that mining and manufacturing. So all those things are actually assessed into the life cycle assessment. Okay, so this is what is the this is what life cycle assessment does when you go for it. Okay, and similarly, one point which I forgot. Okay, maybe in the upcoming lectures we'll discuss more about this life cycle assessment. Then I will get to uh, discuss about life cycle assessment in detail. So don't worry. Yeah, Roshni has said cradle to grave. Yeah, there are. Oh, yeah, this is what I was for. So there are different impacts categories. So one thing if I give you like why the government is actually promoting electric vehicle. If electric vehicles are polluting, so why government is actually promoting electric vehicle? In life cycle assessment, electric vehicle is more polluting than diesel and gasoline vehicle. So anyone has the answer why Indian government or government of India is actually promoting it? Okay, so as the renewable. Uh, sure. This is the answer, because we are generating around like so one thing is energy security. So we don't have to purchase oil from any other country. We have the solar resource, we have the wind resource, hydro resource here, all resources. And in future scenario, when you see the IEA report, International Energy Agency report for India, so they have given these different scenarios like 240, 250, then 2070. So they have actually projected that most of our electricity will come from renewable sources. Even the solar is actually contributing. The contribution from solar is actually increasing at a very fast rate. So whenever we are getting electricity from renewable sources and the shift is happening, so these emissions from electric vehicle will go much will be very less than diesel and petrol vehicles. So that's it. That is why government is actually promoting these vehicles. Okay. Okay. So I think a lot of interaction was there. So Shanti has question, sir. Also, recently USA removed restrictions from three of our atomic research agencies. Yes, your BARC and some of the other agency was there. So maybe use of nuclear power generation in coming days is why government promoting. Yeah, nuclear power is kind of what you say. It's not renewable power. It's a clean power. So clean energy different thing. Renewable energy different thing. Now there is a concept of clean coal also. So I will ask, I will suggest you guys to search more about this stuff, clean coal. Okay, what is this clean coal? Is it a coal or is it something else, some other resource? So search on this. So nuclear is kind of not. It's not a renewable energy. We have a limited resource of uranium and plutonium, but yes, it's kind of clean. It doesn't generate pollution like we have in the coal power plant. So yeah, nuclear power. Even nuclear power, government of India is actually promoting nuclear power also. Even before that, this user removed the restrictions. So these restrictions were there to actually purchase some of the components for them. Okay, hydrogen energy. There, Tarun has said hydrogen energy. Will hydrogen? The main problem with hydrogen is that you can generate hydrogen. There are a lot of processes are there. You can generate it from biomass. You can generate it from water. You can generate it using integrating with solar also. So there, I think the main problem is storage hydrogen. So hydrogen is kind of a gas. So Generally you have to liquefy it, and then when you liquefy it, its flash point and everything, the calorific value is very high, 150 megajoules. So if there is any, what you say, kind of a mishappening, it will generate a lot of damage. So that's a major thing. uh, Vivek has said, hey sir, I am pursuing masters in environmental science from BHU. I am in second sem now. How can approach for jobs in the field of EIA? How course will help me getting jobs after my master's study? Okay. So generally, what happens, Vivek? When you do any course, like this is kind of a course which is a teaching course. Okay, this is not kind of training course. So when you do a teaching course, now you go for peer learning. You ask your alumni, or you apply this knowledge to some project also. Then whenever any company comes for recruitment, so let's say you learn from this course. I will give you an example which people here in the IT generally do. They have clubs and everything. So they learn from the course. Okay. Like let's say I learned EIA from this course. Now you make a club, you go to some sustainability club, or you, if there is no club in BHU, I think BHU is a very big university, so there must be some club. Otherwise, you can go to Banaras, or you can consult some other clubs also. Then let's say you perform the EIA for the BHU itself. Okay. Then when you approach any company or any industry or anyone, then you can show them, I have not learned this course. I have actually applied the knowledge and conducted the EIA. Let's see the result. Okay. So this is what I think the companies, the people are looking for. You just don't learn in the class. Everyone can be taught in the class. Everyone can learn. How you apply those concepts is very important. Okay. So I'm sure you will be able to learn a lot from this course, and you will be able to apply those things. Suresh has said government promoting biofuels, including hydrogen, but storage. Yeah, Suresh has actually addressed this. The main problem here, the storage is the problem here in the hydrogen. Okay, but yeah, technology is changing very fast. The kind of pace the technology for this energy sector is changing. You can't say. I think I had gone to some exhibition. I don't remember that. And there were auto rickshaws for hydrogen energy, and they what they have done, they actually uh, binded those hydrogen particles on metal carbide, and with the increasing temperature, those bonds were broken and the hydrogen is released that can be burned. So they have those cylinders, and those cylinders were look like batteries. They were saying like these are the batteries, hydrogen batteries. Put it in the auto rickshaw. You run for 2 3 days. Battery finish. Change the battery. Get the new one. Okay. So it's the kind of hydrogen fuel cell is also there. So that was something kind of a fuel cell which was operating there. But the main one thing is the storage. Another thing is cost. Cost is also high. So when you go for metal carbide, then cost cost is one of the issues. Okay, infrastructure is not there. So infrastructure has to be developed for hydrogen. You purchase a auto rickshaw, hydrogen based auto rickshaw, but the main problem is where you are getting the hydrogen. Let's say companies are situated in Bangalore or Delhi, Gurgaon, Mumbai. So you get an auto rickshaw from there, and you went throughout the India to Madhya Pradesh or Chhattisgarh, and then you are running the auto rickshaw there in a very small town. You won't get the hydrogen. The infra is also. This is why I think the adoption of electric vehicles is actually uh, not taking good, but not the speed which the government has actually projected or the industry has actually projected. The main thing is infrastructure. Charging infrastructure is not there. Okay, the batteries, the capacity of batteries. So people are actually getting the electric cars, and they always have this in mind that how much range we can go, whether we can go for long drive or not. Okay, that's a long discussion which we can have on this. So we'll cut short. We'll have those discussion in the upcoming classes also. Okay, so let's move to the slides. So I think I should have a recap before I uh, switch to my side. So basically, this is the first class. So what is the EIA? So EIA is kind of process of identifying, predicting, evaluating the likely impacts of the project, proposed project or development. So I have made this statement bold: impacts of the proposed project or development. Okay, the project has to be, the EIA has to be conducted before commencing the project. In some cases, we have the EIA even after the project also, but those are very rare cases. Generally, those requires when the scope changes. Okay, to define mitigation actions, like if there is any water pollution, then how do you mitigate those water pollution? Okay, if there are any air pollution, let's say if there are you are cutting trees, so then what you do? You plant 10 times more trees than whatever trees you are cutting. So this is kind of a mitigation action to reduce negative impact, that is pollution, contribution to the soil, heavy metals in the soil, salinity, alkalinity, pH imbalance, everything is there. Lot of effects are there. Also, there are various in life cycle assessment. There are various facts also like um, health impact, human health impact, uh, eutrophication impact, human ecotoxicity impact. So we'll not go into detail, but you should have you should have the knowledge of what are the different impacts that can impact, that can have negative effect on the humans or the environment, and provide positive contribution to the natural environment and well-being. So EIA, basically people think that EIA is kind of a tool that basically stops the project. So it is not like they, but when EIA was actually envisioned to NEPA Act 1970 US, so they didn't thought of like doing it as a stopping the project. No, this project we don't sanction this project. They were like they wanted to identify the environmental impact and then how those impacts can be mitigated, whether it can be mitigated or not, and they provide suggestions based on that. And then stakeholders are also integrated within the EIA framework. Like there are several meetings with the people. Like when you are going, so let's say I am in Maharashtra. So a very big refinery. So we have this consortium of PSUs, Indian oil companies, and then we have Saudi company Aramco. So they have a kind of a consortium, and they were trying to build a very big refinery, around 60 million metric tons per annum of oil refinery in Ratnagiri area. And Ratnagiri is in Western Ghats. You know the how sensitive the Western Ghats are. It's a kind of a very good place if you want to visit. And the people there were like everything was documented. Like this will be the impact, this will be the thing, everything is okay. We will manage the impact, and lot of money was there, so impact will be managed similarly. They will provide everything. Like if pollution is there, they will provide different pollution control devices. Everything was there. The major thing was the people were not happy with the project. People didn't want the project. So this the stakeholders there, the people who are living in villages there, they don't want simple. So what are their concerns? That also has to be integrated and addressed in the EIA report. Okay. Yeah, sure. Because social impact, when you do a social impact assessment, it is a kind of a, I will not say a subset of EIA, but yeah, this is how the EIA is, what you say, kind of synergy. Huh. So yes, Chris. So we'll be having this social impact assessment also, lectures on social impact assessment and how it is integrated into the EIA. So this is what this whatever you are saying is actually true. So SIA is done, and then uh, the inputs and outputs are actually integrated into the EI report. Okay. So coming to the next slide. So Before that, I think I explained the different steps. I will give you a brief, like there are actually seven stages of environmental impact assessment. One is screening. So what you do in screening? So let's say there are 100 projects. Let's say I am doing EIA, okay, and there are hundreds of projects there. But each and every project doesn't require EIA. So in screening, we do that. We make the project categories, and then we say that these much projects will require EIA. This is small projects. Okay, leave the EIA. Not much impacts are there. Okay, so leave the EIA. And then scoping. Let's say we have a coal power plant. Okay, and then coal power plant is requiring a EIA. Then how much is the scope of the EIA? Whether it has to be conducted for a boiler only, or for the whole power plant, okay, or the how much should be the timeline for the assessment, impact assessment, okay. So these all things are actually studied in the actually made clear in the scoping phase. Then we have assessment. So in assessment, we'll have the different tools, everything is applied, and then we get the results. Okay. Then we also have mitigation. So basically, based on the impact and results, we provide a mitigation measure. Like this is the mitigation that you can go for air pollution. This is for water pollution. This is for heavy metal concentration. Everything is there. If people are actually vulnerable, like when you do like railway tracks in special scheduled areas where people, what do you say, the people who live in forest are there, very vulnerable people are there. So then what are the safeguards that you can give to them so that they are not very much impacted from this project? Then you go for reporting. Okay, so this is how is actually documented. Then you go for review. Then we have decision making, whether we have to pass this project or whether we have to stop this project. Okay, so even if project is actually not given permission to proceed, but there are some disclaimers also, like if you fulfill this, we can give approval. All these things are there. But even some projects are like, even after having all those mitigation measures, those projects are not viable in the environmental, from the environmental point of view, also economical point of view also. Let's say I will give you an example, like if we are building a nuclear power plant, okay, and then there are safeguards, like you can't use the water from the pond, so you have to get the water from uh, some other river. Then you have to build a canal itself. For that, you have to treat the water also. So project cost actually increases. So it, after incorporating all those mitigation measures, the project cost actually increases. So then decision is like, uh, anyone is speaking? Okay, so then project cost is actually increased. Then project is actually saved or moved to some other place. Okay, and then again EIA is done for that place, and then we monitor. So whatever results are there, so after making, during the construction phase also, or during the operation phase also, the monitoring, constant monitoring is done, whether the impacts are actually handled properly or not. Okay, so these are the seven stages of environmental impact assessment, and you will get to learn a lot in the upcoming video lecture. So everything like screening, what are the different ways through which we screen the project, scoping, all these things will be discussed in the upcoming lecture. So before moving to that, let's say if you have any questions, any question from the yeah, Okay. Mhm. Okay, so your first question is that there can be different impacts, and I don't know the impact. This was the question. Okay, so that has to be. Okay. So actually, for this there are different standards. Okay, like whenever EIA is done, let's say you have a land pollution. Okay, then we see that whatever the outputs from the project, like if there is a dust, so what dust can impact, how dust can impact the land. Okay, if there is no outlet, then pH is quite okay. pH in, so these are simple things that actually, so this will be taught in the upcoming lectures, how these things have to be seen, what are the different impacts will be there, so don't worry about that. But yeah, let's say air pollution is there. So we have this greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases, CO2, NOx, all these things are greenhouse gases has to be seen. Then we have the particulate matter. So we generally see a kind of 7 to 8 gases which government recommend. These has to be seen. So there can be hundreds of, or you say when you see a power plant, there can be hundreds or 200s of compounds that can be emitted from the power plant. But you everything because those the quantity or the impacts will be very less. Only those impacts has to be seen that have a relevant, what you say, a very high effect on the human health or the environment. Okay. Second, your second question was that if you are purchasing a product, then how do you know that this product has, the industry which is manufacturing this product has some EIA or not? So there is two points in that. First point, let me be clear: EIA is not done for any product. Okay. Second thing is that there are different standards. Let's say Suresh has mentioned or someone has mentioned ISO standard is there. So these standards are actually mentioned in the products also. So you can read those standards and you can see if EIA, the company has followed those EIA procedures, then if it has obtained some standardization from the like Quality Council or BIS or ISO, then it will surely mention it in the product label. Okay, so you can get to know that they have done the EIA or not. Okay, so generally it is not required from the government side to mention it on the product in India itself. Okay. Any other question? Anything which you guys want to ask? Okay, so no problem. If any question comes in between, you can always write it in call messages, or you can raise your hand and ask the question. So let's have a quick recap of these different live session slides. Actually, sorry, lecture slides. So I will not go to each and every slides. I will just have a brief view, like whatever was taught in the slide, so that you guys can actually have a good understanding. Okay. So the first slide was about state of global environment air. Okay. So basically, when you see an environmental movement, so basically when you go for conservation, then preservation, and then risk are there. So these are three different terms which have very different meaning. Okay. So I will leave it up to you guys to find the meanings of this term. What is conservation? What is preservation? And what are the risks? Okay. And this is a very good book, right? The first time uh, someone talked about this effect, like impacts which we are having on environment because of using something else. Like this Silent Spring book was from Rachel Carson in 1962, and she said that the DDT which we are using for uh, killing mosquitoes are actually responsible for the decrease in population of a bird called robin. So robin is a kind of bird. It's kind of a sparrow type of bird that is seen in the Western countries. So because of using those DDTs, so these DDTs was actually carried out in the food and everything. And when these birds were eating those food, their population are actually diminished because of the death of those. So the first time people get to know that if the impacts are not limited to wherever we are using, there can be some impacts which can carry out to some other species also. And now transboundary air impacts are also there. Transboundary impacts like uh, a power plant situated here can have the impact in the nearby cities or nearby states also. Sometimes nearby countries also. Like a river flows through, let's say, Brahmaputra river is flowing through China to India. So if there is a pollution in Brahmaputra in China, that pollution will carry throughout the country in China, and then it will enter the India also, and it will have some harmful effect in India. India has not polluted the river, but if China has polluted, it will have impact on us also. So there, the impacts are actually now have a broader sense, broader term. So this was first discussed in this book. Okay? And then we have Santa Barbara oil spill. So read about that. A very what you say. There was one more oil spill in France also. So you can read about that also. And Bhopal gas tragedy was there. So this was the one of the methyl isocyanide was actually leaked in the night because of improper maintenance, and that has a lot of impact. Even the impacts are actually seen now also. And there were a lot of news like they were shifting some of the components or infrastructure to be dismantled to some other place, and people were very unhappy. So this is where the EIA comes into play. So they should have done EIA, like what should be the impact before moving the infrastructure. And then these are not very important. Classes of vulnerability is there. So you can see this graph, and we are standing here. Like urban growth is like something around three or something, okay, percent per year, and then level of urbanization. So we are actually we have 34 or 37% level of urbanization as of now, because the recent census has not been conducted. So we'll have an updated figure in I think 1 or 2 years. But still, the urban growth is high actually. You can see we are kind of a medium kind of growth. No, I think very high kind of growth. 3.71. So because people are moving to the cities, so cities have much more impact than villages. Okay, and economy. So yeah, inputs economy. Then we have outputs. The outputs are basically products, and whenever you work on something, like you work on some input raw material to make product, you have some waste, and that waste actually has the capacity to pollute the environment, and actually also have the capacity to affect the human health also. So there must be a human health parameter also. So in this case, environment itself represents the whole thing. Okay, then we have resource depletion and then input. Okay, then climate change impact is there, and human health. I think these slides are actually for information, like what are the current state of the air annual emission, like CO2 emission, which you can see here. Like I think Northern America was actually polluting very high in 90s, but now they have very stringent regulation now. So Northern America and Europe itself. I think I don't know about America, but Europe has a very stringent regulation. So you can see the effect of stringent regulation. The CO2 emission are actually coming down, and I think this must be Asia, Sub-Saharan Eastern Asia. So this you can see Eastern Asia, Southeastern Asia. So yeah, Central Asia and Southern Asia. So they are also increasing. Central Asia and Southern Asia. So India is here, and in Eastern Asia we have China. So a lot of economic development is there. So you can see in the trend also. This is kind of world electricity generation by fuel. So renewable is also going to increase. Fossil fuel. So people are like still thinking that We have this renewable is actually increasing, but still the coal will be the king in the upcoming 2 3 decades. Coal will still provide a lot of electricity. Even clear shift is observed in the renewable energy. Now, the my question is that the coal power plants are now, if I give the latest data, exit. Okay, so my question here is, Antara has also asked a question. So before that, my question here is, I will give you a latest data. As renewable is increasing, the coal power plants constitute around 57% of the total capacity of electricity generation. So we have hydro, we have solar, we have wind, everything is there. Nuclear also, everything, and then coal power plant. So if you compare the capacity wise, only 57% of the power plants are coal power plants. But still, they are actually generating 75% of the total electricity. Why is this so? Can anyone answer? No, no. Efficiency is kind of, you can say, but efficiency of the wind power plants are much more higher. Wind has some 40 to 60% of efficiency. Hydroelectricity has a very uh, question is, if I give you the latest data says that the renewable energy like wind, electricity, all these things has a very high capacity. Coal is only contributing 57% of the total capacity, installed capacity. Okay, let's say I will give you a figure. We are producing around 400 gigawatt of. We have a capacity of 400 gigawatt of electricity. Out of those 400 gigawatts, around 250 gigawatt is around coal. Okay, but you go for generation, electricity generation. The coal power plants are contributing 75% of the total electricity generated. Why is this so? Renewable is increasing, but still coal is the king. Why? Antara has said it's a cheaper option. Cheaper? Renewable is cheaper. Renewable, you don't have to pay any price. Yeah, this is one of the points because we have a legacy of coal power plants. So all those power plants are still operating, and when you go for new power plant, you have to build that power plant. Okay. So one of the point is this: the legacy infrastructure. Yeah, Shiv, you want to speak something? Uh, but why? Why? The question is why. Okay. So you guys got my question, now. We are going into why? Why coal power plant? Renewable is going at a very fast pace. Even 40% is renewable. 42% is renewable now. Okay. Renewable or kind of like nuclear. Okay. But still coal is contributing very high to the electricity generation. So this is kind of question you need to look into. Okay. The reason which I will give, reason is that when you go for coal power plant, it can operate 24 hours. Okay. It has a very high capacity factor. You can say plant load factor, like 90%. Okay. But when you go for solar, solar can operate only during solar hours. It has a very low capacity factor. 15 to 25% is the capacity factor for the solar. Similar for wind, similar for hydro. Okay. So this is the reason. One is capacity factor. Plant load factor is very low for these renewables. Second is this coal has a very, what you say, a legacy infrastructure is there. So you can very much reliability is there, kind of coal. So people are still focusing on more reliable type of things for producing electricity. Because of push from the government, we have the capacity for electricity generation from renewables. but still the reliability is very different. uh, Anamika has said some disturbance in audio. Anyone else? Is my audio clear? Okay. So, Anamika, let me repeat it again. So, basically, I will give you 2 points here. First is the plant load factor for these coal power plants are very high. It can produce electricity 24 hours. Okay. But you have this, you compare it with solar power plant, solar photovoltaic cells. Can produce electricity only during solar hours, which is basically 8 to 10 hours of the day. So compare a coal power plant with solar power plant. So this is why the capacity is very high for renewable power plants. Electricity generation from the coal power plants is very high. 75% of the total electricity generated in India for this year is still from the coal power plant. Okay. Second thing is coal power plants are very reliable. It can operate in all weather conditions. You compare it with wind or solar. Suppose there is a cloudy weather, you get a monsoon, no electricity from the solar power plant. Okay. So these kind of questions is what you have to look into. Why is it so? Ask questions. Why? When? How? So when you ask those questions, and don't uh, uh, go for simple answers. Search the answer. Go for answer by yourself. Then only you will get to know that okay, this is kind of thing. One more thing is that you have a whole logistic chain here. Whole power plants are legacy plants, so you have a whole logistic and supply chain are there for established for the coal power plant. Ah, yeah, and this is not for this solar power plant. We can compare it better with the coal. Uh-huh. It can compete. Yeah, sure, but only then we can compete. Compare with them actually. So there are a lot of things, lot of research is going on in the battery storage. So in solar power plants also, photovoltaic also produce electricity during the solar hours and then store it in the battery and then supply it during the off solar hours. But still, a lot of technological advancement in the storage has to be done before proper one-to-one comparison can be done between these two. Okay, so another thing is that grid integration is also very difficult for renewable energy. So I have a background in renewable energy. I know how much difficult is this for grid integration is for renewable energy. Okay, so I think it's 4:40. So let's move to the questions from the assignment. Okay, so what is EIA? Huh, okay. Uh-huh. Mhm. So I am not calling it for this net metering type of thing, but still the net metering thing which you are talking about is actually not very existing here in India. Okay, the government was promoting this concept in net metering. Everybody will have a solar rooftop, and then whatever extra electricity produced will be given to the grid, and then after like in the night time whatever you will take, then there will be net metering and then the excess amount will be charged or deducted from the bill. Okay, so main problem is that the government was this was a very good uh, what you say facility or promotion of things given by the government of India. But whenever the discoms try to get into the net metering scheme, they are actually because of the integration of this grid integration is very difficult for the solar energy. The discoms are not very interested in what you say promoting this net metering thing. So you won't see net metering anywhere in it. Net metering is actually existence in very specific areas, either for the study purpose or just because the government is pushing very hard for that. But still, net metering thing is kind of concept is still in the papers only. Second thing is that when I am comparing with coal power plant, then we are going for the solar power plant. Okay, solar power plants are like solar photovoltaic fields of 250 megawatts or something that are basically built up in the arid regions. So generally, what it does that is solar grid thing. Uh, so that is also very difficult. In the rooftop also, you have to have MPPT. So multi-point power tracking, all these setups has to be there. So I know it is very difficult from their rooftop also because I had this 1 kilowatt of solar photovoltaic installed on my roof in my home. And still was very difficult. It didn't generate enough to fulfill the electricity demand of our house. Forget the net metering. Okay, there are some challenges, but I am not saying solar is catching very fast. Solar, wind, hydro, these things are catching very fast. So whatever technology not existent now doesn't mean that it will not exist in the upcoming decades or upcoming years. So just wait. There will be some technology, some advancement in the electronics, some advancement in the what you say battery storage capacity. So certainly the solar will be the good player, but still in now or uh, upcoming 1 or 2 decades, coal will still be the king of the electricity generation. Okay. Now move to the assignment questions. So what is EIA? This was the first assignment question. So Environmental Monitoring Fund Report. No, EIA is basically a process of identifying that you saw in the last slide here. A process of identifying predicting. So the correct answer here is answer B. Okay, and these are the questions which I want that you guys should actually explore. What is why EIA is important? Why not cost benefit or techno-economic analysis? These are also kind of analysis which are done, which is still done apart from EIA. So why not we focus only on techno-economic? Why EIA? So what is the difference between? So this was kind of I think we had a lot of discussion on these things. Expand SEA. So SEA is basically strategic environmental assessment. Okay, so we'll have a good discussion on these things also in the upcoming lectures. What is the strategic? Why? What are the different assessment that is done in the strategic environmental assessment? Which type of project usually requires an EIA? And okay, so a small housing building. So you are building a house doesn't require EIA. Okay, dams and reservoirs. Dams are very big projects, reservoirs are very big projects, and they have a very big impact. So, thumb rule which you can see, anything which have a very high impact, very big impact will have to cover under EIA. So this is the thumb rule. Industrial plant, if it is a MSME, doesn't require EIA. Okay. If it's a big plant, a very big factory, mega factory built by Ola for electricity generation, electric vehicle production, that will require a EIA. So B and C. Garden development, it doesn't require EIA. Garden development is good thing. In India, Environmental Protection Act was enacted in. So Environmental Protection Act was actually enacted in 1986. But before that, we have different acts itself. Like Water Act was there in 1974, and then Air Act was there in 1981. Okay? CPCB is all you know, Central Pollution Control Board. So basically, I will suggest you guys to look into the role of CPCB and how It monitors the SPCV, State Pollution Control Board. So please look into that. Which sector is responsible for most carbon emissions? So there are different sectors: industry, transportation, electricity generation, maritime shipping. So most of the carbon emissions are coming from the electricity generation only. Okay. So this is why whenever you do go for a coal power plant, a EIA is necessary before initiating the project. And why? Why? Because I think this is what we were discussing from the last half an hour. Why? Because we are having a coal power plant. Lot of our power plants are basically based on coal, and that causes a lot of pollution. Okay, so 1 kg of coal I think gives around 2.2 kg CO2. Burning of 1 kg of coal, 2.2 or 2.4 kg of CO2. Okay, that's a lot of CO2. Which transportation mode is responsible for the most carbon emissions? So most of the carbon emissions is basically from the road, because we have a lot of vehicles on the road. So when you compare the data with trains, trains are actually quite cleaner because they run on, earlier they were running on coal and diesel, but now most of the trains are actually moving to the electricity. And the more we have grid electricity, and the quantum of trains are also less than rail road transport. Okay, maritime shipping and aviation is also there. These are much more cleaner. Maritime shipping is very clean. Aviation is less cleaner than maritime shipping. Maritime shipping is much more cleaner. And the more, yes, the maritime per traveler efficiency of traveler CO2 generation for maritime shipping will be much higher. Okay, that I agree, totally agree, because the road has lot of people. Then whatever emission is generated has to be normalized to the whatever people are moving. So this is how it actually says. But still, uh, road is actually contributing a lot to the CO2 emission. Okay. The modern environmental movement focuses on, so it focuses on risk. Okay, because preservation is there. So you can see this graph, and this is, I have taken this from kind of source achievers. So they have given a different degradation trap, conservation trap, sustainable development. So what constitutes a sustainable development? So this is also a very big question. What is sustainable? What is development? But mainly, if you are environmental kind of thing, they are more focusing on risk. Okay, so whatever risk, how they can be managed. Okay. Transport trade dust is not directly responsible for which of the following: human respiratory elements. Dust is actually responsible for human respiratory elements, asthma, fertilization of distant forests. Some of the pollen grains are actually carried through the dust, so they are actually responsible for the fertilization of distant forests, damaging infrastructure. Sure, they are very much responsible for damaging infrastructure also, especially the road infrastructure. They are not responsible for global warming. Okay, dust is not responsible for global warming. Global warming, we have albedo factors, then we have albedo factors for cloud, etc. CO2, etc. All these things are actually responsible for the global warming, like greenhouse gases. Background rate of extinction. I think this is very important to understand. Yeah. So this was the graph which I put here. So actually, we had a lot of mass extinction, like five mass extinction. One was end of Ordovician era, late Devonian. Similarly, the last one was end Cretaceous era, which was uh, 65 million years ago. Okay, what is background rate of extinction? So basically, background rate of extinction is like whatever extinction is going on naturally. Okay, whatever extinction is going, I think it was one per thousand per annum something, per thousand per lakh population per annum something was the background rate of extinction. But if there is something which is kind of spike in the graph, So these are mass extinction. So background rate of extinction is actually uh, studied to see look into the mass extinction event also in the history. So the if you define it, background rate of extinction, it is basically a normal extinction rate, that is whatever with the normal natural factors, not due to anthropological or some other factors. Normal factor is often assumed to be between 0.1 to 1 species per 10,000 species per 100 years. So this is actually the definition. So if there is per 10,000 species, if there is one species which is getting extincted per 100 years, then it is background rate of extinction. Everything is okay. But if there is more than this and much more than this, then that will be mass extinction, which you can see here. State true or false. One health is not relevant in the prevention and control of zoonosis. Zoonosis is basically diseases which are from the animals, which accounts for more than 60% of the human infectious disease. False. Okay. So basically, zoonosis diseases are actually spread from animals, but not much more. I think 60% of infected animals is spread from animals. One health is not relevant in the. I think One health is something, some concept. I think that needs to be looked into for this. India is third largest fish producing and second largest aquaculture fish producing country in the world. Yeah, this is correct. From the PIB report also, India is producing this much amount of fish. So this is quite true statement. Which among the following option does the Coral Triangle region include? So this is the Coral Triangle region. So this starts from Japan. This goes straight into this Andaman Sea and then goes into this nearby Fiji Island. So this whole area is actually coral region. So you will find a variety of corals in there, and corals are basically a kind of structures which tells us about the uh, health of ocean ecosystem. So A and D are basically covered in the coral ecosystem. Vietnam is something here, Vietnam, and Malaysia is here. So Malaysia and Vietnam are not covered. Which among the given options are provisioning services for people from the ecosystem? So provisioning services are something like we are getting provision as a provision, like we get clean water from the environment, we get fish from the rivers, wood for our cooking purposes. All these are provisioning services. So bioenergy is not a provisioning services, and medicine is not a provisioning services. Okay. The process through which methyl mercury is passed along the food chain is called it is called biomagnification. Okay. So methyl mercury concentration actually increases throughout the when you pass on through the species to species. What is bioaccumulation? When it is accumulated inside the species itself in larger amounts. Like earlier it was 5 milligrams, now it's 50 milligrams. So that is bioaccumulation. But due to the food chain, the concentration increases. That is biomagnetism. Which four sustainable development goals are connected with land resources? Okay, so basically with land resources, because we need food. Food is the crops are dependent on the land, so zero hunger, reduce inequalities should be there, good health and well-being, life on land. All these things are actually related with the land resource. So these are 70 sustainable development goals. So there are some sub goals also. So you need to look into. Okay, these are very important. Uh, what are the key drivers of the land change? So this photographs I put it here. This was a very good photograph which you can see here. This was a kind of forest area, and this is something deforested area. And this you can see a road passes around a kind of boundary where you can see the left hand side is totally a different ecosystem. A right hand side, the ecosystem has been totally destroyed due to deforestation, and all the lands will be then converted to the agricultural purposes or the residential purposes or industrial purposes. Okay. So key drivers of land change, urbanization is one of the key drivers. Okay. Climate change is the key driver because due to climate change, the land use change patterns can change. Okay. Gentrification is basically a kind of gantries, like a small enclave. So that is not a kind of key driver for the land change. And then technology and innovation is also a key driver for land. So one, two, and four is the correct answer. As per Desertification and Land Degradation Atlas of India prepared by Space Application Center for the period of 2011 to 13, approximately 30% of total geographical area is undergoing process of desertification and land degradation. That's it quite true. You can see it here in the map itself. A lot of land is actually getting degraded. You can see here. Why? Because of salination, because of natural factors, because of anthropological factors. Humans are using much more fertilizers. All these things are also contributing. What are the main critical concerns for the food security? Concern is basically availability of food is one of the concern. If food is not available, then that will actually thing. And then accessibility is a big concern. Food is available, like there are a lot of food, but still we have famines in the world globally. Like healthy people, the accessibility in the sense you can say the supply chains or the money needed to purchase that food, all this things comes into the accessibility. Okay. Which sector consumes the most amount of water? So basically agriculture, because for growing crops you need a lot of water. Okay. So agriculture has a lot of water consumption. After that, power generation. Why power generation has a lot of water consumption? So there is two things where you will need a lot of water. One is during the cycle, this whole cycle, steam power plant cycle. So in the boilers itself, the water is converted into steam that runs the turbine to generate electricity. Another one is during the condensation process where you cool the steam to water again to be pumped into the boiler. Uh, if you many of the people will say like we are moving to solar energy, so less water will be consumed. Yeah, less water will be consumed, but still solar cells, photovoltaic cell has to be cleaned properly, so that will require the water for the cleaning. So water consumption is also there. Okay. As per United Nations World Water Assessment Program, water scarcity is defined as, so it's kind of definition you have to remember it, it's kind of mugging type of thing. So you have to know this definition, which is basically less than 100,000 meter cube per capita of available renewable fresh water per year. State true or false. The term economic water scarcity used where storage, treatment, and conveyance infrastructure are lacking. This is actually true. This is what is economic water scarcity. I think all the questions are actually for the assignments are actually discussed, and these are two reports: State of Environment Report India 2015. I think the latest report has also come. I think 2022 or 23. So please read this report if you want some extra knowledge about the state of environment in India. Very compiled report, very what you say comprehensive report. And this is state of India's environment 2023. So they actually discuss how much is the deforestation happening in each uh, state. Like northeastern states are very vulnerable. There a lot of deforestation are happening there. Okay, and all these things they discuss everything in this. So thank you. If anything is there, anything which you want to discuss, so please feel free to write it to me on this email ID. Otherwise, we will meet again in the next class. Similarly on Sunday, next Sunday from 3 to 5 p.m. Okay. So thank you all for attending this live session. So let me see if there are any questions from the. Can you explain the EIA reporting, its procedure, parameters, and so on? Andhra, we will explain it in the upcoming lecture. So, focus particularly in the hydrological project, hydropower plants. So, basically, hydropower plants are basically they have impacts on the like when you make a reservoir like Terry Dam. Study about this Terry Dam, and you will get the EIA report of the Terry Dam also. So, look into that. Cost. Okay, so I asked this question. And there are some per capita air is more polluted. Cruise ships and thanks, thanks, thank you all, thank you for attending this live session. Okay, so if there is anything, please feel free to ask in the next live session, or you can post it on the discussion forum. Okay, let's meet on the next class.